Do you start it with like an intro or something?
No, I'm just gonna be like, like it's recording now, and I'm sitting down with SteveO. You know what I mean? That's what I'm doing. Steven Richardson. How about that? Is that better, or do you like SteveO?
You can say SteveO and then Steve Richardson.
Do you want to be SteveO in this interview, or do you want to be Steven? My brother's a Steven too. He also spells it Stefan as well.
Yeah.
Does that make you mad do you have any siblings?
Yeah.
Do they call you Stefan to taunt you?
No, but every fucking buddy else does. Like the guys that are on my bowling team, like they made so much fun of the PH, because every time you say like, "Hey, I'm Steven" with the PH, and they just made fun of that like all the fucking time. All the fucking time. So
listen, now this is probably I'm probably gonna use some of that right there. How many of those F-bombs do you want me to fucking get rid of? I mean, I'm recording an interview with you, so
it's okay.
All right. Well, I'm just letting you know. I'm giving you warning right here, so that way you could put on the SteveO the window cleaner filter on before we get fucking going.
You're good. It's totally good. Know what? People who talk to me like every day, they know that.
Right.
It's just, right. On the YouTubes, you got to be kid friendly.
Right.
To get monetized. So.
Well, I'm monetized. I get like maybe $3 every 3 months because none of my stuff is appropriate for children. So
you have to go through all the things, submit the rate. Like
I just submit. Nothing I do is suitable for children. That's the way I'm going with it. You know what I mean? I don't want to. With the YouTube, I don't want to get into a situation where I've posted something and I forget to do that, and I don't want to. I don't want a kid to watch anything that I do and be like, man, that guy he says all the swear words, and he's like, where did you learn that? And then his mom has got hemmed up. So now you do have siblings. So are you the youngest?
Yes, I am the youngest. So I have two brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Oldest brother, he is 6 years older than me, so that makes him 41 years old.
Mm-hmm. My age.
Yeah, and I got a middle brother. He is 4 years older than me, so he's 39. I'm 35.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So, you live in Colorado. Or born and bred Colorado guy?
Yep. Okay. I'm the only one of my family. So, our two brothers were born in California.
Uh-huh.
I was born in Boulder, Colorado. So,
okay.
I'm the only Colorado native.
All right. And never strayed too far away from home.
So the only time I moved away was after college. I met a girl my senior year of college, who I just like fell for,
right,
and just planned my whole entire life around her. Totally bad idea. And so like my whole last semester of college, I was going out to California, visiting her all the time, making plans to just totally just uproot from Colorado, go to California. But I had tons of family like in California, in the San Jose area, like close to San Francisco.
Okay.
And at the time, I was completing my degree in criminal justice.
Oh, and you were going to be a cop?
I was straight up going to be a cop, man.
I never got that vibe from you, man. Okay, you learn something new every day.
I would say to you that in college, I probably made that like decision way too quick.
Mm-hmm.
Like I probably should have done my first 2 years of just like the classes that you have to do, and then decided like to just do business or something. But if I could go back, I would have totally changed that. That's like one thing I really, really regret. And why I regret it is that once I got to California, they had shut down all of the training that they were doing because they had so many cops that were ready to go, but they had no jobs. So they're like, because one of the goals is that you go to college, get a degree, and then you get your academy paid for.
Right.
So I had all that going, but then once I went out there, they weren't hiring. So I got first I tried to get a job with my girlfriend's dad's pharmaceutical company as security. Well, they have a lie detector test that's really intense, and I didn't pass it.
So, I mean, the window cleaning thing. You see, I'm the same way. I don't really have like a true regret about my school and what I did. Like, my grandfather was a journeyman plumber, and I worked with my grandfather from the time I was 13 till I don't know, until he retired. So like 19, 20, anything that I did, you know what I mean, I was doing with him, you know what I mean? And he's like, you know what, I'm getting ready to leave the factory, which was a UAW plant. He goes, I can get you in there in the skilled trades program, you know, right at it. All you got to do is, you know, do these certain things, take these certain classes for pipe fitting, and I'll get you in out there. And I'm like, you know, I thought about it. I was like, you know what, I'm way smarter than you. I'm going to be a carpenter instead. You know what I mean? Fucking idiot. But he supported me 100%. But I wish I would have done that and got in there. The factory ended up closing down, like maybe, I want to say about 10 years ago, but by the time they had closed, I would have probably had like 10, 15 years in the place. I would have got a really good buyout.
Right.
You could take a buyout. I would have taken a buyout. I would have went to culinary school. I regret not. I did something I wanted to do when I was in high school, and my friends and everybody really fucking ridiculed the people in the culinary arts classes. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, I want to do that, but I don't want to get picked on because I'm wearing a chef's outfit all the time. But dude, my passion for cooking, like, I love to cook, man. It's like, you know, like a thing for me. You know what I mean? Like something that I can do for people that makes me feel like I'm, you know, like I'm showing them love. You know what I mean? Do you have anything that you do, like something that makes you like show love to your family, or, you know, like just something that you're passionate about? You know what I mean? Like, I gotta want to do, you know.
The most passionate thing I was ever about was jiu-jitsu, mixed martial arts. So I would have never gone this window cleaning journey if I never would have just absolutely obliterated my shoulder back in like 2012. So like, I was cleaning windows by then, but my only goal was literally to just one day, I never wanted to become a UFC fighter. And that was big. Like, I was getting
it's Colorado. Fuck.
Yeah, and I was getting out of high school going into college right in 2005 when the UFC was getting huge. I got, like, you know, the Stephan Bonner Forrest Griffin fight. Like, that was like my kind of like, so I got into all that, and I was just, that has been the one thing in my life that has always been consistent. How weird that sounds, but like, my whole family comes together on it. We watch the pay-per-views together. It's something we all do. It's something we've done. Like, if there's a pay-per-view around the holidays, we all get together. Every July, if there's a big pay-per-view,
same here.
we all get together.
I mean, you and I are always, you know, when we see something, I mean, there's MMA news, and then there's like, dude, can you believe this? And that's usually what we share to each other.
Exactly.
Right. Because neither one of us are casuals, but keep going.
Yeah. That was my main thing, man, that like I really, really wanted to do. But when I got injured, like obliterated my shoulder, actually what really, like, I had already been cleaning windows since 2008. I started it in college and did it for just beer money, like didn't know what the hell I was doing at all. The guys I was working with, real chill, but they didn't know what they were doing. We did it for fun, and then took like a little bit of a break while I went out to California, even cleaned windows out there. But the mixed martial arts thing of when I came back from California, got back involved in it, then I got hurt. But when I got hurt, I was cleaning windows, and the therapy of actually being able to like move my shoulder is what really, I think, kind of like changed my passion for window cleaning. I was like, man, this like rescued my life. Like literally, like I wasn't making nothing at the time, but it gave me like a purpose. And I found like that same gratification that I found in tapping someone out or getting tapped out and learning something, like boom, like window cleaning just like hit it for me. And once it kind of like rescued me with that, I was like, oh man, I think this is the thing. And then I also, in that time, learned the business part about it, because I was sitting around in the fish office like all the time, like cold calling people, trying to get stuff. I was just trying to scrap money. Like I was like, give me hours to just come sit in the office and call people. But if I could have opened up a jiu-jitsu school and been like a black belt, that was my ultimate dream. I went back to jiu-jitsu January of 2020. And then boom, the school got closed down in April, you know, for COVID and everything. And so right then I was getting injured all the time. I was like, all right, fuck this. Like, I'm not doing this anymore. My body can't take it. So I just called on it.
I was in Taekwondo. I was a brown belt in Taekwondo. So I So I understand the. I wish I would have never stopped doing that because I could become a fat sad sack afterwards. But well, kids helped with that. My children, they say you gain your weight with your kids, and that's true. I definitely did.
Yeah.
But I get the passion thing, you know, and I also see where it translates into window cleaning because there's like solace in what we do. You know what I mean? Because I mean, even if you're working with a crew of guys, you're still essentially by yourself. You know what I mean? Like you're. One guy's inside, one guy's outside, or one guy's on a ladder, one guy's on the ground. You know, you're always in a way by yourself. And, you know, I think now you're pretty much a solo guy right now, right? Correct?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm 100% solo. I don't hardly ever work with anybody. I don't prefer working with anybody.
Me either. I mean, you do what you can do, and that's pretty much that. And I'm the same way. So I see the solace in that. And, you know, I've also often, like akin that to, like, you know, like, they say like you become a master at something doing it so many times, and that's like martial arts. That's the same thing. Your roundhouse or your standing side kick is only going to be so good with form, and that's repetition. That's the same thing with BJJ. I'm sure the more you do it, the more you roll, the better you're going to get at it. I wish I had known about. I didn't know anything about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu until I seen Royce Gracie choke old boy out. You know, I had no fucking idea. And when he walked in there, I was like, this Karate Kid dude's gonna get his ass kicked, you know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? Yep. And he fucking fucked those dudes up, you know what I mean? And there was nothing like that around here, you know what I mean? There was no BJJ schools in Ohio. There may have been, but you're not gonna find them in the fucking phone book, you know what I'm saying? So that's one thing I would love to have been able to do. Now I'm just like, man, I'm too old. I'm gonna end up getting fucking hurt and not being able to work because I'm want to be a BJJ goof, you know what I mean? That I'm never going to do anything with. I'm never going to do nothing with it, you know what I mean? But I guess it's good in a way because you're, you know, staying active and shit, but I'm also a window cleaner, so, you know, I'm still pretty active. Do you find yourself, you know, when it comes to work and stuff like that, do you find yourself with window cleaning, are you finding yourself like, I don't really need to do this ridiculous job, or are you still like, I gotta have everything? Where are you at as far as that goes?
Sales is definitely my main thing now, as far as like, yes, I could probably say bye to the window, like actually doing window cleaning, but it's my zen, man. Like, I'm not even a person to say that, but like, it is straight up for me, like getting out there and being outside and just cleaning. You know, it's funny though, I don't like route work very much anymore. I like doing homes, where when I was a partner with Jim, I loved doing route work, hated doing homes, and I've totally switched over to like a very, very over the top premium service with homes that even I'm like, I would have never done this like 3 years ago. Never like this. But it's my thing.
I'm with you on that. I don't know if that comes with time. You know what I mean? I you know, there's some guys like Mark Tanner, he loves to do route work. He hates doing houses. Yeah. See, I'm on the same side of the token that you are. Like, during the pandemic, I lost a lot of restaurants and stuff, and I was Mr. McDonald's, Wendy's, fucking Chick-fil-A, just any restaurant I could get my hands on, because I knew around here it's going to be going year round, and as long as I got the balls to go out and clean in the snow, they're going to pay me, you know what I mean? But after I lost that and I started doing more and more homes, and then they started calling back and they were like, you know, we're taking estimates, and I just didn't submit anything. I don't want, no, I'm good. You know what I mean? They call me like, hey, are you? And I'm like, nah, I'm not interested anymore. I have route work, but I am very selective on the route work that I do. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I do some storefronts that are like $20. You know what I mean? They're nothing, but I've had them for 20 years. You know what I mean? Yep. And I feel like and anytime they want their houses done or their mom wants their house done, they call me.
Yeah.
So to me, doing that, stopping by, making $120 in 30 minutes down this one street, I'm cool with that. Sometimes I get new stuff, you know what I mean? Sometimes I don't, but I really don't push the commercial side of it. I'm with you on that. It's just like,
I think if we were in warmer states all year around, it would be really fun to, and like Mark, like down in Florida, I mean, I know it gets crazy hot there and we can't imagine that, but like if I've always talked about like maybe moving to Arizona or Florida or something like that. I think about I'm like, man, I love the seasons of being in Colorado, and it's kind of nice to finally have this break like in the winter. I've never had that until really this year, because I let go of a good amount of work right at the end of the year, and I just said I just can't do it anymore just due to other things that are going on. But it was kind of nice just to like sit. But then you get like after 2 weeks, you're like, not doing enough. I feel like a bag of shit.
Yeah. I've got, you know, I've got my stuff that I do, my monthly stuff that I've been doing, and I'm going to continue to do. But in the winter, I kind of slowed down some, and there are times where it's been like a couple of days that I haven't filled my bucket up. You know, even though I'm going to go tomorrow morning and I'm going to clean windows, that couple of days right there, I'm like, dude, like, there are dudes out there making all the money, and I'm sitting here at home fucking playing around like a goof, you know what I mean? Like, I'm doing shit around the house. What am I doing? And then I'm stopping thinking, I'm like, dude, it's cool. It really is. It's fine. It's fine. It's
totally fine to chill.
You know, and I think that, you know, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a go-getter. There's not anything wrong with that. But you're going to come to a point in your window cleaning career, even as a businessman, where you're not going to become complacent, but somewhat, I guess the best word would be content with where you're at. Like, I've got my income, I've got my, you know, what I've been, you know, worked hard to get. You know, I'm going to maintain that at all costs, but I'm not going to go out and try to kill myself anymore. I'm just, you know, I'm not.
No.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah. I feel like my kid really changed that for me, as far as like realizing like, hey man, like there's a lot more important stuff. You want to have your energy to be able to like play with them at night and be able to, you know, wake up with them in the morning. And so like that has changed me a lot. And I'll probably be honest with you in that I do a lot less content on like YouTube and a lot quicker kind of content on TikTok and stuff, just due to that one factor. And that like I used to come home on a Wednesday night, take out my computer and start editing. That never happens anymore. Never. Like, I'll edit during the day when I'm, like, you know, if I have some extra time, like, between those work hours, but I don't ever touch it, like, at nighttime anymore or, like, the weekends.
Right. So, I mean, that was going to be a question that I asked, so you kind of just led me right into that. The YouTube thing, how did the YouTube thing start for you? How did it start? How did you, like, you know what, I'm going to make videos about window cleaning. Ta-da!
Yeah. So where it kind of came from, so when I was in California, I got to work at YouTube headquarters in San Bruno, California. So that was kind of like, I watched YouTube, but it wasn't really like, I don't know, this was back in 2011. So I worked there for 6 months. That was right before I moved back to Colorado. And then that just got me thinking, and I came back when I was cleaning windows, and I got my first wagtail combi. This is like my first video you'll ever find on the internet. It's so bad. And ex-girlfriend at the time like filmed me just squeegeeing a window with it, and then over time started making more videos. But I'll take it back a bit in that when I was younger, I would always buy like the little handheld cameras. I don't remember what it was called. There's a small rectangular one that came out, I would say, in like somewhere between 2003, 2005. And I think it was kind of like the first almost looking GoPro. GoPro might have been out by then, but I got one of these and I was like, man, I want to make like a year in the life. My life was not interesting at all, so I couldn't make a year in the life like then. Like it just wasn't cool. I didn't know how to edit, do anything like that. So when I started posting videos like here and there with my iPhone, it really wasn't a thing until what happened was once Luke started really working with WCR, Luke actually did come to me and he asked me, hey, do you want to start making videos for WCR? This is when I got serious about it. I want to say maybe 2017, 2016. I was still posting videos, but if you go back, some of those videos, like, they're so obnoxious that, like, there's just loud techno music. It's like, I look back and I'm like, what was I They're so bad.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they weren't bad videos. They were shot well and they were edited really good. It was just, you know, a little cringy at times. You know?
Super cringy. Super cringy.
That motion you did with your hand was the beat. Doots.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, at times I'd be putting my headphones in. It was like crazy techno. Just look at, oh man, this is so bad.
What am I doing?
So then when Luke asked me to be a part of, like, we created this group for WCR, and he was the guy that really put that all together. Mm-hmm. And so when that happened, I went to Jim, who was the co-owner of 2020. I said, listen, man, I'm going to start, like, filming stuff, and I want to make sure you're cool with it, because that's a lot to ask. And I wasn't an owner at the time with the business. Mm-hmm. So I said, are you cool if I do this? He was totally cool with it. Like, mm-hmm. always supported me in everything I did up to the day that we, even parted, we're still best friends. And so, boom, right there that moment, just started making videos, started making content, started watching a lot of Casey Neistat, like got some ideas, got ideas from Luke. Luke helped me a lot with, like, just thumbnails and just getting, what he did. And so that's when I got serious, and that's when I started really doing my own channel, as it was always there from, like, 2012, but that's when I started posting so many videos on there. And I did kind of, like, go after just, like, I'm just going to do reviews of, like, window cleaning products, how-to videos. And I think the how-to videos kind of translated back to that I always wanted to teach.
Yeah.
Like, I always wanted to teach jiu-jitsu, so I thought the how-to videos were kind of fun.
Yeah.
Not to say that they were great or anything like that, but that's what, like, it kind of just, like, took off. Like, I don't know. And then I enjoy it. I enjoy editing the videos. Like, I could really see myself one day editing videos for people. Like, I'm kind of sick of editing my own stuff. Like, that's what I am sick of.
Right.
But I would love to create, like, as dumb as it sounds, like football highlight videos for guys in high school that need to send those off to college.
That's cool.
Like, stuff like that. I think that would be awesome.
I love the fact that you talk so much with your hands that it knocks your camera out of focus. I love it. Some people are going to be like, they're going to be mad at me because your camera's not focused. You know what I mean? Like, why did you fuck up SteveO's picture? You did that on purpose.
Is it bad?
It's fine now. It's just every now and then you go like this and it blurs out, and it's.
That's always the problem that Jersey and I have when we're doing mine.
Yeah. Well, you got a nice camera that autofocuses, so that's. I mean,
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. I just found it funny, and I wanted to bring it up because I knew somebody's gonna be like, "Why'd you do that to SteveO's video? Your video quality sucks. You're a fucking loser." You know what I mean? So
Just your headphones, man.
Do you? As far as the content goes, I mean, I'm gonna say it, and I don't want you to take offense to this, but I mean, how many fucking how-to videos can you do?
Yeah, dude. I mean, you could do a how-to video on any squeegee you want. Like, how to use an Unger S channel, how to use an Unger S Plus channel,
right.
How to use.
Does I mean, and I know you're super engaged with your audience. I am too. Like, when a dude leaves a comment, I always make sure that I show him love. You know what I mean? I don't. I know my channel is tiny compared to what you've got going on. So I know you've got a lot more to deal with than I do, but do you still find yourself, trying to do as much of that as possible with people, or, are you still super interactive with your fan base as far as that goes? Do you feel?
I can't get to everything. I really can't. And I've said that in some videos over the past couple years, in that I don't get to all my YouTube comments. I just don't.
The reason why I bring that up is because, I watch you and Jersey's show when it's on. I like to be supportive of my fellow content creators, because we are a small group, and there's only a few of us that are actually cool, and the rest of them are kind of dicks. I'm not going to mention any names, but there's some twats that do this. But I noticed that people get super frustrated with you if you don't, like, you ask a question and you don't answer it, they'll ask it 50 fucking times. Yeah. And I no question is dumb, you know what I mean? But there are some questions, it's like, bro, I've answered that question 1,000 times. If you're really a fan of mine, or you're trying to learn something on YouTube, and I say this a lot in my comments, you can go through and look, I'm like, go and look at SteveO's channel. If you're looking for a how-to, that man has covered it. You know what I mean? Guys are like, why don't you do videos like SteveO? Because I'm not SteveO. SteveO has done that. You don't need to hear. SteveO has already shown you. I can assure you that he knows what he's doing. I don't need to tell you to. Right. You know what I mean? I don't mind, and you can, insert your thoughts wherever. I don't mind doing videos on tools. A new tool that comes out, I try it out, I tell you if I think it fucking sucks or it doesn't suck. Just so happened the last review we both did. That was I mean, our reviews, when I watched yours, I was like, shit, I might as well not even have made my video because we said the same fucking things, you know what I mean? It was shocking to me that we were like right on point with just about every point in there. It's almost like we got together and was like, compared notes, but we didn't. We didn't. No. When you released your video that day, I was actually out recording my video. And I edited it, did everything, posted it up, and then I'm sitting here at the desk looking through it. I'm like, oh, here's SteveO's review. And I'm sitting there listening. I'm like, well, Jesus, man, this is gonna be awkward.
But I think, though, as to say this about like why I've done so many videos is that quickly, like after a year of like starting that, I would get messages from like veterans or like veterans of window cleaning.
Yeah.
And people who've been in it for like a long time of like, thank you for making that and saving me my money.
Right.
And that's when I started saying, okay, like it's more than just a tool review. I am helping these people and that they're getting to see what the product is and judge it. Maybe based on that, maybe they get to save the money. And that's where I started to get a lot of, like, good feedback.
Yeah, see, I'm the same way with you there. I try, I could probably get anything I asked for if I wanted to be like, hey, man, send me this, I could get that. I don't do that because, why am I going to have a bunch of shit sent to me that I'm only going to use for a video?
Tool reviews can sometimes save other window cleaners, like, money on not buying the tool,
Yeah, because I feel like if I'm not going to use the tool and I'm not going to, you know what I mean? There's no point in me having it just to do a review on it. That's already a review that's already been done. You know what I mean? So I you know what I mean? I will give, if it's something pre-existing like a Sorbo channel or something like that, you know what I mean? That's what I use. You guys see it in every video. I like to get the tools that are brand new that, are super hyped up. You know what I mean? And I want to try them out and be like, yo, this is what I think about this and show dudes how it works. You know what I mean? Not just say, here's a montage of me scrubbing things and then like, don't buy it or buy it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get up close with the camera and be like, look at this fucking thing's doing. You know what I mean? Like with that thing with the edges or, when I did the Boab reviews, like the experience I had with the Drywalker when it came out, it's like people like completely glazed over that. And they're like, man, this thing's the best thing ever. I'm like, man, that thing fucking sucks, man. But that's just my opinion. You know what I mean? And there's plenty of controversy out there with all the Boabs when all that stuff went on. There were things, that I found with, the Samurai bucket when I was using it. I was like, man, this is total bullshit what these guys are saying about this. This isn't true. You know what I mean? There was a lot of weird shit going on. And I told myself, I was like, no matter what, I'm always going to make sure that when I try something out, I'm honest about it. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't care. It's because I would be pissed if I watched something and then and this guy was like, man, this is the best thing ever. And then you got it and it sucked.
But it happens in that I have done reviews on stuff where I've liked it, and then man, I will get a call from someone where they are so pissed off with me because of that review.
Right.
And that's kind of like the side to YouTube that like you and I may see as far as people contacting us angry over something that we've done where it's like, yo, like, remember, this is social media. Like, this is YouTube. I get it. Like, okay, yes, you went and spent your money.
Yeah.
You bought that based on my review. But you have to do your due diligence in researching that and making sure that's something you really want to do or make sure you really want to buy it. And that's where it starts to turn, like, a little bit sour. And I would say in that, like, YouTube over the past year and a half for me has kind of gotten to that point where, like, I get really weird messages. I get really weird phone calls. It's gotten to be weird.
Yeah.
In some of the stuff that happens. So it's nice to kind of have like, people like you that kind of understand it. Just a core group of customers that I don't know. Things have gotten weird.
See, and I'm like you. Like I cherish and I value every person that's taken the time to hit that fucking follow button. There's no question about that. However, there is a small contingent of people out there that are just not reasonable. They're not reasonable. They're not, and I'm not, and that's not to run anybody off or say that my time is not, you're not worth my time or any of that stuff. It's just like some people are just very unreasonable. It's like, I said this, it's my experience with this. You know what I mean? And I get guys all the time like, that Mormon channel is the best channel ever created. There's no detail and hotty. And I'm just like, bro, listen. I could use a regular brass channel that's been out since like 1900.
Yeah.
And it's all about the way you're using it, dude. You know what I mean? I'm just, you don't need a special channel to minimize to little no detailing. Don't get a bunch of water on the ledges. How about that? Keep the window, keep the washer off the frames. That's number one. That's trick number one in window cleaning 101 is keep your fucking washer off the frame so we ain't got to stand here and detail everything. You got water every fucking where. You know what I mean?
Or the guys just take a pole and jam the frame side to side. You're like, what are you doing?
Yes.
So much extra work.
There is nothing that makes me more furious than when I go out and somebody like, hey man, I'm short of money. You got any work? I'm like, and I'm always with my buddies and stuff like that. I'm always cool. I'm like, yeah, man, you could come out and run the washer for me. I'll give you some money. I'm pretty cool about that. You know what I mean? Yeah. If one of my friends is hard up, I'm gonna help him out.
Yeah.
But when he jams that washer into that window, I'm like, bro, I've already showed you. I showed you one time. If I gotta show you another time, I might as well be doing it myself. Go sit in the truck, and I'll just give you $100. You know what I mean? I have no patience for that. No patience.
I don't know what it is though about like even people that I've kind of helped like learn and stuff. Mm-hmm. Just everything is really hard and like it's like never soft and easy. It's like what is going on? Like there's no reason to be bad. These are plastic tools. Yes. Like remember these are window cleaning tools. This is not the best of the best. They've been making all this shit like. It's got to remember what it is, and don't be doing that.
Although I agree with you, I've worked with Jennifer this fall for like 3 months. She's like, she's thinking about maybe I have another truck. I have a small Ranger, and she's thinking about maybe her and Elena going out and just doing route work. They're just doing storefronts, and I'm like, that's not a bad idea. Elena knows how to clean windows. I'll take you out. It's almost like when I see the tools in their hand, it's like I feel like everything you're doing is wrong, and I have, you know what I mean? Like, no,
yeah,
and everything is like Jennifer's like, man, this thing is heavy. I'm like, it is not heavy, you know what I mean? But I don't stop for a second to think like, man, I've been doing this for 20 years. I'm like, I've got the muscles for this. It doesn't seem like anything to me, you know what I mean? And I just get I get all that frustration, and then I stop for a second. I'm like, I can't. This is Jennifer. I have to go home with her now. She's going to hate my guts. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? She's not going to like me, so I got to watch what I do. You know what I mean? But with my friends and stuff, no quarter. I give them hell. You know what I mean? I've already showed you one time, dude. I've had guys... This is before I owned the company, that were scraping glass with their hand in the center of the glass. I'm like, listen, like leaning on the glass. I'm like, bro, you can't do that. Why? I was like, you can't do that. Well, my back hurts. I'm like, all right, cool. If your back hurts, stop scraping.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'll scrape your windows. If there's something, just tell me, just skip the window and tell me, do this one.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he decided we were doing a water park, and they had paint on the windows. On the interior window, and they needed scraped. So, there's the only way you're getting that shit off there nice.
Oh, yeah.
Or we could stand there with mineral spirits and every chemical known to man. Or we could just get out our razors and scrape it off the glass. Exactly. You know what I mean? Anyways, runs that scraper right into his hand, almost cuts his finger off.
Oh.
And then he was mad at me. He was mad at me. He's like, man, I gotta go to a hospital. I'm like, cool, man. Do what you gotta do. You're not gonna take him. I'm like, you want me to call the ambulance? Call your wife. You know what I mean? What do you want? It's fine. You're not going to bleed to death. You know what I mean? Like, it's still hanging on there. You didn't knock the bone off. You're good. It just, went almost to the bone. You know what I mean? He was cut.
Oh, wow.
He needed some stitches. And he was mad at me. I was like, I warned you multiple times not to do that. My boss called me, John, the guy that I bought the company from. He was mad. I was like, why is everyone mad at me? You're paying this dude. I trained him. He wouldn't listen to me. He wants to do it his way. So what do you want me to do, man? You know what I mean? You've told him 1,000 times, keep your hands off the glass. He was always leaning on the glass, and bang!
That's so weird.
I don't understand
it. I don't
understand it.
Maybe like lean my hand up on the frame,
Occasionally,
or like that. But yeah, like around the whole entire paint, that's intense.
Yeah, well, he would climb up a collapsed 16-foot ladder. that was leaned up against the house. Wasn't even stretched out. He'd be like 6 feet away from the fucking window. He had plenty of ladder to do it. He'd lean the ladder up the house, go halfway up it, pull out a 4-foot pole, and clean the window that way. That's how scared of heights he was. I'm like, bro, you got this is. I love the dude, but I'm like, you got this. You're doing wrong. It's not the job for you, dude.
Yeah.
I have so many pictures of him doing that. Like, I will never post them on the internet because I don't want to dog him. But God, dog, I'm just like, man, dude, don't. You're doing the wrong thing. You're doing the wrong thing.
Man. It's the worst trying to train somebody who's scared of heights, like in window cleaning, or like I'm sure you see this a lot. Is that a lot of these new guys don't, or some people they don't want to climb ladders. And it's like that's just a part of this job. Like if you don't have you got to have a ladder at some point. You got to get used to climbing. You got to get used. I don't like heights that much.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I'll get on roofs and I'll freaking grip on the tiniest little thing possible. Sometimes just to make myself feel better.
Oh yeah.
But like I'm still gonna get the window done. But yeah, I'm not the greatest, and I'll see somebody just walk up and be fine. I'm like, what the heck?
I know this is gonna be, and you can answer this question if you want to. You can plead the fifth if you want. I'll give you that right.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the industry is leaning too far into the water-fed pole thing?
Yes, as in leaning too much into let's try to make it as easy as possible, and it's because of so much content being out there about it now, rather than like 7 years ago.
Because there's a lot of dudes that have never cleaned a window. They own a pressure washing company or something like that, and they're like, I'm gonna get a water fed pole. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be a window cleaner now, and you can't use a water fed pole all the time. You can't. And if you don't have that experience to get a window cleaned by hand, I feel like that's going to hinder your business. You're not going to do good work. But also, if you know how to clean a window traditionally, you're going to be really good at cleaning it with a water-fed pole. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's steps.
True.
There's steps. You know what I mean? You got to know how to get a window clean, what it's going to take. So if you're sitting there with a water-fed pole doing a second-story window that's got artillery mold fungus shot all over it. The little black specks, if that's what you guys are wanting to know, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That will not come off with a water-fed pole, you know what I mean? And then, like, this thing doesn't work. SteveO sold me a water-fed pole and it's crap. You know what I mean? It's like, no, dude, you just don't know what you're doing.
And I think, though, with, like, pressure washing, I talk to a lot of pressure washers, and I do sell quite a bit of water-fed poles to pressure washers, is that it is they pressure wash the house. All the windows are all spotted up from everything. They need something to basically clean that up at the end. So what they do is, let's say it's a 2-man crew, one guy gets to halfway the house is done, boom, the other guy jumps on the water-fed pole.
Makes sense.
And that's what it's meant for. It's not meant for the perfect clean, but it's just meant to remove that whatever soaps are left or whatever it's left on there. I don't know much about soft washing or pressure washing.
I'm of the school.
That's where it is.
I'm of the school that the first time I do a house, I'm 9.9 times out of 10 I'm doing that shit by hand the first time.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that every time I'm going to do it that way, but that first time I'm going to get everything off that glass that ain't supposed to be on there. I'm going to get it off with my razor because I'm bang, bang, razor gang. I don't care. That's what I use. After that, I'll bust out the water-fed pole. It's not the hard work is done. I've conditioned the windows, in a way. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
That first time I've whipped them into shape. The next time, within reason, as long as it ain't been 2 years since the last time I was there,
right,
I'm going to hit it with a water-fed pole if it works. If I'm like, this job, it's going to work, and I'm cool with it. You know what I mean? I do a lot of commercial glass with the water-fed pole. You know what I mean? A bunch, like large jobs. Because, as a solo guy, that water-fed pole really turns you into two guys, really. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And if you have a very efficient setup like me, like I have the Tanner skid, man, dude, yeah. I'm actually kind of 3 guys. I'm moving 3 times faster than I ever used to move. You know what I mean? And the technology with the lighter poles, the better scrub mediums.
Yes.
It's making things. It's lessening the curve between traditional and non-traditional means of window cleaning. So I'm not saying that it's not going to work, but I feel like I think at times maybe guys are not really sold a false bill of goods, but they sell themselves on a false bill of goods. Like, I could be this guy if I start doing this. No. Right. There's steps, and there's levels to this. Unfortunately, you're going to need to take some time, with just like with anything. Oh, yeah. Just because you don't go to school to be a master window cleaner doesn't mean that there's not a little bit of time involved to master this skill. And I feel like there are some guys out there that think that, all it takes is, $40 at Home Depot and a water-fed pole system, and I'm a window cleaner. That's not necessarily true.
Right. And what you say about how to understand how to clean a window traditionally, and if you understand that at a very good high level, boom, like if you use a water-fed pole, you're going to clean those windows well because you know what it takes, and you're 1,000% correct in that. And that's what I always tell people. If someone tells me, hey, man, I've been cleaning traditionally for 5-6 years, I'm like, and they want a best water pedal, great. Like, now I know that you know what it takes to clean a window. So I can explain this to you very, very easy. And those are the guys that, like, also know that clean is clean and just get in and, like, freaking know what to do and get it done. Mm-hmm. And then I usually know, though, with guys that are newer and they want to jump on the water fed pole, is this is what I say always. I say, hey, if your budget can allow it, why not? Mm-hmm. Because at some point, I'm going to tell you, yes, it is going to be a good tool to have in your arsenal.
Right, no question.
If your budget cannot allow it, you can do a hell of a lot of work for your whole entire life with a 20-foot Warner, 4-foot step ladder, 12-foot extension pole, and some basic traditional tools and a bucket and Dawn soap. Yep. I mean, you can make a ton of money doing that.
Make some good money doing that. Yep. I am an example of that. You know what I mean? We had the 4-stage electric IPC Hydrocart, and we had these giant fucking fiberglass poles, and I was like, dude, I am never getting that shit out again. And he's like, why? I was like, because those poles suck, dude. Like, have you ever tried to lift that big pole up? We had this pole, it's like a 48-foot fiberglass pole. Oh my God, dude.
That's horrible.
Yeah. It still hangs on the side of my... It's as long as my barn in the back there. It's like collapsed. It's like 20-some-odd feet. It's humongous. Yeah, it's huge.
I'm at the gym, and I'm like doing Stairmaster.
Hey, at least you're doing the Stairmaster, bro. I'm not doing anything. I'm doing the Hoagie Master.
But it sits in that thing, all of a sudden I get an emergency call, like music shuts off, and I'm like calling the police department.
I'm pissed off because I get to a point and then it stops, and then I'm like, what was my point I was gonna make?
You get thrown off.
Yeah,
I know. But yeah, I mean, we're talking more about, the transition from traditional to water-fed pole and people grabbing water-fed pole too quick.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying. I was talking about we were betting $50 on who could stand that pole up by themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because it was a monster. It was, but I got to the point where I was using that pole with one hand over my head like this, you know what I mean? I was like, I was a bad dude, you know what I mean? And then now that I'm older, I'm like, what was I doing? My shoulder hurts really bad. You know what I mean? I did it to myself. Yep. I just, I got to the point where I was like, man, I'm not getting that thing out of the truck, dude. It's too much bullshit to have to find water, find electricity, set the pole up, run the hose out, and then have to wrangle that thing. But the technology has just gotten so far advanced. I mean, that pole that I have in my truck now, my SqueegeeLife pole, yeah, shameless plug.
Right.
Available at windowcleaner.com.
Great pole. It is a great pole.
It's a cut-down destroyer. That's what it is. I mean, people don't realize it, but that's what it is.
And it's the only other pole with, like, end defenders in every single section. I mean, yeah, it's a fantastic pole.
Right.
Fantastic.
I think people missed out on that. But that weighs about as much as the damn brush used to weigh on the end of that thing. You know what I mean? I mean, honestly, it's crazy how far things have come. And that's another point I wanted to get to with you, because you've reviewed every tool. You've been doing this forever. How crazy is the technology now? Like, are you like stand back sometimes like, man, I wish I had this when I started? You know what I mean? Is it to that point for you yet? Because I know it is for me.
Yeah, well, I started with water fed pole with the the all gold what is it, aluminum or whatever, poles, and and have the key to crank it to actually extend it or extend it too far, and all of a sudden just bends.
Right.
So I had those, and I used to actually love like my 30-foot one of that because it was super light and I could just work with it. But when you think of, and I had like the old nylon brush and everything, but when you think of the like boar hair brush with a back scrubber, that's a great advancement with water fed pole that has really, really helped as far as make it like what we were talking about as good as traditional. Like I tell someone, if you can't get it good with that, you got to take out the ladder and just do it traditional. That's it.
Right.
My biggest thing though that like I think was, and you would agree with this, is carbon fiber trad poles.
Yeah.
Those changed the game as far as just the control that you had. Like the change from going from aluminum, where you would fully extend, and you get the little weird bends where it was fully extended at, to that, and having the control on storefronts at 12 feet up, even 12 feet,
Yeah.
it was like, this is fucking
I remember being told that there was no feasibility in a carbon fiber trad pole, and I'm just like, how can you say that?
Dude.
You know what I mean? And after mentioning it a couple times on the podcast, and then that just showing up on my doorstep, and Chris is like, hey, check this out. And I'm like, this motherfucker right here, you know what I mean? Yes. I still have and still use to this very day that very same pole. That's the pole I use every single day.
Wow.
I'm actually, I think the anniversary of me having it is coming up. I plan on revisiting that pole. I've been shooting video with it, like I did for the first few videos that I did with it. And I'm like, man, I'm going to make sure, because I've been, I've been doing this YouTube thing for a while now. It just dawned on me, you know what I mean? Like, man, it's been 5 years I've been doing this, you know what I mean? And the podcast is almost 5 years old, and I'm like, and that trad pole was 5 years old. That's crazy, man. You know what I mean? To still be using that pole, and I remember, I'm not going to mention who said there was no feasibility in a carbon fiber trad pole, but he's an idiot. Because that's pretty much the industry standard now. I mean, the only ones I don't think that have picked up on it yet are Ettore and Unger. They're the only two that have not, like, we're going to come out with a trad pole. Which I'm not saying that they will or they should or any of that stuff. I mean, at this point, I think it's kind of, Xero's got it covered, man. They've got multiple color options. They're all carbon fiber. They're not half carbon fiber and then some fiberglass. They're carbon fiber, 3K wrap poles. They're nice. They're nice poles. You know what I mean? So to me, I mean, the market's cornered. You know what I mean? They've got it down to a science. You know what I mean? I was like, Chris, you need to I was like, the only thing that would make these cooler is if they were colored or they had like a print on them or something like that. And then boom, they're colored. I'm like, dude, and now, like there's dudes that have one of every color. You know what I mean? It is. And it's amazing. It's great. Good for you guys, man. I think it's awesome. I think that's awesome. Yeah. Keep it in, like, along the tool side of this and stuff like that. We're going to get to you being a rep here in a few minutes, but just out of my own curiosity, what is besides squeegee rubber and incidentals, things that you're, like every average window cleaner always have to have, what is the most requested item in SteveO's that people put in the cart in order with SteveO? What is the most common thing you're like always, but not squeegee rubber?
Right. It's that freaking Technopad, man.
Technopad. Yeah. I thought it was going to be that. I bust your balls about it all the time on the podcast because you and I have had several conversations as to why you clean windows the way you do, and I'm not going to bring up why, but you have a thing, you know what I mean? You like to do it that way, and that's cool. You know what I mean? Exactly. But it works. It's very nice because sometimes, as much as I'm Mr. Razor guy, I love busting out a razor, but, there are times like, I do a house like quarterly out on the chaussee, you know what I mean, which is like this road that runs out into some water on both sides, whatever you guys. Anyways, I do a lot of houses there every like month, quarterly, every 2 months, throughout the summer and stuff like that. And, sometimes, it doesn't need razor. It's just scaly and it needs a good scrub. That thing keeps the water on the glass, so I'm not making myself an extra step when I scrape all the water off. That thing works great, man. That thing works great. And I do not understand why people like with scrub technology are trying to reinvent the wheel on that. You know what I mean? I don't understand Like, you know, case in point, the Gecko. Like, I don't understand the proprietary pads. I don't understand the shape of it. It's just like, I see what you're trying to do because of the Squeegee channel. I get it. You know, I mean, I get what it's kind of like your patented design or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, everyone's going to recognize that as a warming tool, but it's just so ineffective. I think sometimes there's companies that try to innovate where there's really no need for innovation. Like,
Yeah. No, you know, the Technopad, in that I had used it for like a little bit, and then I remember I actually, at Branson, when we were there, I got one from IPC when we were there, and I was like, I have to use this because I saw a couple guys like just online, you know, they'd have like the little rinse bars. I forget who was selling that at the time, and I was like, this would be so helpful. What I really thought would be helpful was it was inside homes. Sometimes you get these vaulted rooms with these windows that are super high up that all your ladder you can get to safely is the bottom. Right. It's like, how am I going to get that top? But I know I need to get a better scrub on that top. Right. Some of them are tinted. You can't always use a razor. You know, it's like, what am I going to do? And I saw that thing. I was like, dude, I think I figured it out. And boom, I started just flying through hard windows because of that. And then I started finding, like, I gave one to Jim, I gave one to Alfredo. Boom, they're using them all the time. They're like, we need to get new pads. And it just became constant.
Yeah, people give me the business all the time about how much I use a pole. They're like, dude, get a ladder out. And I'm like, I don't need to, bro. You know what I mean? Like, just because you're like, there's no way you're getting that window good like that. How do you know, bro? Yeah. Like, I will use my 0 degree like you see me do on those low Wendy's windows. I'll use it the same way 2-3 stories in the air, bro. I'm just letting you know. You know what I mean? Like, I have to send you a private message and let you know that I am actually, yes, I can use that thing that good. You know what I mean? Believe it or not, you know, I actually can. Yeah. It gets a little tough outside of 12 inches, 12 to 14 inches. Doing it the way that I do it, it kind of doesn't work very good, but I stay with the 12. You know what I mean? And I could do a lot of stuff that before I'd have to drag in a 28-foot or 32-foot ladder into someone's house to get. I'm not doing that no more.
Yeah. Well, it's even like today.
Not about a want. It's just I don't have to do it anymore. You know, that tool, for instance, making it just a good scrub contact. It works. It just works.
Yep. And that's it about it. It just, I can reach a window, give it a good scrub. I had windows today above like a staircase where I would have had to bring my stacks in. I didn't bring them. I looked at it and I said, oh man, this is like a simple, just like put the pole over here, a little bit of water on there, scrub, and then squeegee. I'm done. Yep. It took me 2 minutes. What could have took me 15 minutes to bring the ladder in. And, you know, that in conjunction with, like, you know, the trad pole and having all the control and everything. But, I mean, that tool, you know, is the only tool, like when I said in the video that I did with the Gecko, was like, that is one tool that I do feel responsible of. Like, after I made that vid, it was the only thing I've ever had where it, like, really blew up, you know? Like, I remember Alex
no question
saying, dude, we only had like 18 in stock. They all sold out last night after your video, and we're waiting for more stock. And I mean, I don't know the numbers of how many of those things sell.
Dude, it blew up. It blew. I took notice as soon as I seen it. I was like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? You know, I honestly thought that it was yours. I was like, oh, SteveO went to IPC. He was like, listen, make this for me, bro. You know what I mean? And and clearly that wasn't the case. But I mean, just you using it changed it. You know what I mean? Like, boom. You know what I mean? Like, bang. You know what I mean?
Yep. But it was just, and it was that it's such a good price point. That's the thing. Yes. It's never breaking the bank, and it's something that if you're ordering some squeegee rubbers, you're like, oh yeah, team member needs one of those. Yeah. We need some more pads, and you know, honestly, even though Bronze Wool left, it kind of opened the door in that a lot of people were giving it crap because the white felt on the back of the pads would get in it. It's almost like not having those and just using walnut pads or white pads or even the Maykker pads on them.
A blessing. Great. You know, and you can put the Maykker pad. That's why I have the zero contact scrubber, but I have a large one that Mike made me that I ended up putting an aluminum rinse bar on. I don't know if you've ever seen that TikTok, but dude, that thing with the porcupine on it, get out of here, dude. You know what I mean? People are always like, man, what is that? I'm like, it's homemade, dude. I can't, you know what I mean? I can't sell this to you, but man, if that was something where, you know, a rinse bar along the lines end up coming out, if he ends up throwing a rinse bar on that, get out of town. I know there's something out there similar with goofy ends on it and stuff like that, but just keep it square so you can use a Maykker pad on it. You're gonna make a gajillion dollars with that thing. You know what I mean? That's what I told Mike when he first sent me one of those. I was like, dude, you're gonna make a shit ton of money with this thing, you know. And it just didn't go the way he wanted it to at first. But I mean, that's a contact scrubber, man. Come on, that pivot, yep. that Mark Tanner's pivot, that was Mark Tanner's idea.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we all got me, Mark, and a couple other dudes got one of those when it first came out, when Mike's like, hey man, I want you guys to try this, and he had 3D printed socket on there with that, like something kind of like it, but it was, you know, a little more wonky, right. And I tightened it down on my pole and it shattered. Like, I didn't even get to use it one time. Mark, same thing, and Mike's like, yeah, I forgot to tell you guys to be careful, those things are kind of brittle. And Mark's like, you know, like, maybe, Steve, maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours later, Mark calls me. He's like, hey, I'm going to send you some pictures. He sends me a picture, and he's already made a new swivel in his shop, like in 2 hours. That's like now on every single one of those things. You know, his was made out of aluminum, but now, you know, they're all plastic, of course, which is fine. I have the same one, my original one, still that I still use to this day. Yep. Such a great, and it's the same ilk as the Technopad. It's just a square block. You can put any medium you want on it. Who cares if it's ours? Just buy the thing to put it on there. You know what I mean? Like, keep it simple.
Yep.
You know, I mean, and that's usually normally, and especially in this industry, just keep it simple. You know what I mean? Just, you know, that's the best way. Don't you think?
Oh yeah, I made a video a long time ago called "Keep It Simple, Stupid." Yeah. But it's just, there's too many things that try to make it like what we talked about with the Mormon gecko. It was just something that went a little too far beyond what it needed to be, and you already had something so great in the industry that, like, you're not replacing it. Like, it's just not, like, you're going to have your people that just really like that color of stuff or that look of stuff that are going to have it. But
I think the gecko would have been better served to just be rectangular. Yeah, just make it rectangular, put some Velcro on the back, and then people will buy your Mormon scrub deal because it's a Mormon, because they like the colors, they like your brand, they want everything to look the same in their belt. You know, there's guys out there that are like that, and then you go and you do that, and then, you know, you put proprietary pads on it, and they're not very cheap. You know what I mean? So it's like, dude, what are you guys? But again, that's none of my business, and there's probably guys that'll eat that shit up. You know what I mean? You know, there'll be guys that'll eat that shit up. Now, do you feel like, you know, getting back to YouTube for a second, you know, before we talk about you being a sales rep and then closing this deal out, YouTube, how do you find yourself, or do you see an end in sight to SteveO, the window cleaner, on YouTube? Do you think it'll be something that, you know, is SteveO going to go the way of the dinosaurs like Luke and Rihanna? Or is it going to be a deal where, you know, I'm probably not going to be as active, but I'm still going to be present? Where do you see yourself?
Not as active, but still present. I am finally doing something this year that I've wanted to do for like 3 years. And I don't know after this year how much more will really go on. Like, I think stuff will always go on, you know, like vlogs here and there. I do like presenting like a tool review here and there, but as I spend less and less time in the field, it gets harder and harder to give my opinion, because it's like, I'm not out there like you anymore, you know? And so that gets difficult. But so I'll go into this like really quickly, and I haven't told anybody this, so it'd be kind of cool to like it's not an announcement, but I started this for 3 years in a row where I have wanted to create a year-long vlog. So I'm finally doing it this year. But what I'm doing, though, to keep me consistent with this so I don't forget about it, is shit.
So you're my camera dicked up again, but and I, you know, as smart as I am, I'm like, I'm going to use it again. You were talking about what you're going to do as far as your channel goes, like something that you've been looking forward to doing for 3 years now, and that is
Yeah, so for 3 years now, I have started in January every year a year-long vlog. And so, but what that's always turned into was like, oh, I started in January, and then someday I'm I don't want to record anymore. I don't grab my GoPro for like 3 weeks. I'm like, well, that shit's done. I didn't even complete the first month, so I can't do anything with that.
Right.
So that's what would always happen. But finally this year, what I'm doing is that I'm going to just release it as in a January vlog, a February vlog, a March vlog of this whole entire year. And just more to show not what I've been doing in my vlogs as of late, like more everyday life. I just want to mix it up. I'm not really going into it with like, this is what it has to be, but just more, I don't really want to do like, hey, here's this job I completed, here's a video about it. I'm not that there won't be that ever again. Like there just won't, I'm just not into that anymore. Like I enjoy just cleaning and doing that. So doing this is just something that I want to do before I ever wanted really window cleaning. Like we talked about this. I don't know if this is in this or not, but like I've just always wanted to do something like a year long.
Talk about that.
You know? Yeah. So
like a year in the life of SteveO. You know what I mean? And that's essentially what you're going to do. See, I'm along the same lines. See, now I'm also wanting to do something similar to that, and we spoke off camera about that when my camera took a crap. But I'll say, like, I don't know if this is what you're going to do, but I plan on adding a little bit of my personal life, a little bit, not so much, like intrusive, you know what I mean? But, like moments that I feel are cool to be shared. Are you going to do the same? Or is it going to be basically a year on the glass with SteveO?
No, it won't be a year on the glass. Like for instance, me and Alex are getting married in February. There's going to be a lot of stuff with that. Like, not the wedding, like not a wedding video, but like just cool stuff around that, like the family a little bit more. I try to keep my kid out of it. Like that is one thing I just try to like stay away from. Like really, like there might be a glance here and there of him, but for right now, just how weird things are.
Yeah, people are trash bags.
Yeah, so, exactly.
Yeah, so I'm with you on that.
Yeah, but I'll be honest with you. I don't really have like a course plan of exactly what it should be or what it is. I just finally want to complete it because it's something that I've wanted to do.
I'm going to be looking forward to it. I'm going to be your first watcher and thumbs up every time because I think that's cool. Because that's something that I have a similar story. Like this is what this year I'm going to do. I keep telling Jennifer I'm going to shoot the documentary. I keep calling it a documentary. You know what I mean? I want to shoot I love documentaries. I want to shoot a documentary. My daughter's really into photography and video, and you know what I mean? I think that would be fucking cool, you know what I mean? And I keep talking about doing it, and I start out well, and then I just like, man, it's like July, I'm super hot, like, fuck these cameras, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to get it to the point, I've bought a new camera, GoPros can eat a whole bag of dicks, like the entire thing. Like, I got a Hero 10 with the medium mount. I spent a shitload. My wife bought it for me for Christmas last year, and then I spent a shitload of money on it, buying everything you could buy for it, and it shoots wonderful, beautiful video for like a minute or two, and then it dies because it's too hot. It's too hot for it to shoot video anymore. You know what I mean? So I'm like, oh, okay. And then I contact GoPro, and they're like, well, you're using it with outside of its limits. And I was like, then why are you selling a camera that overheats? But you're advertising as the best visual, and it works for shit when you use it that way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But GoPros are meant for burst activity. That's it. You know what I mean? So I went out and got me an M200.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean? So it's not an expensive camera, but it's got a flip-up screen, and it's just enough. I'm spending enough money for it to look good, but not too much money to look like an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going overboard with it, just in case I screw up again and don't stay with it. But, dude, that's cool, SteveO. I mean, and I hope that guys, like I know not Steve, but Luke, I know Luke gets the business sometimes. Like, why don't you do videos anymore? But I can see, like, with the popularity, and you've grown your channel to twice the size of his. So you have twice the size of the audience that he used to have. Yeah. And the stuff that he used to have to deal with, he would talk. I mean, we talk, as much as people think we did hate each other. But now him and I are pretty cool, Yeah. And especially there, for when he was still doing YouTube, that was the constant. It was like, man, it's just these dudes, as much as I enjoy doing this, there are some people that make me not want to do this anymore. Like, I had Jennifer in a couple of my vlogs, and, you know, I thought this is going to be something cool I can share with people, my relationship with Jennifer, because of how we get along, and people are not nice.
Yep.
They're not nice. You know what I mean? And those people ruin it for other people, unfortunately. So, and I can see where that becomes a drain, you know, especially like with me doing the podcast. I've been doing a podcast every week for 5 years. Yeah. You know, and we've taken 3-4 months off in that 5-year period. You know what I mean? And it gets a little, people get to be a little bit much sometimes. You know, I get people giving me phone calls like, "Oh, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that?" I'm like, "Listen, man, like, if you want to be a Patreon supporter, that's great, but I'm not obligated to do anything. What you're doing is supporting the show. That's why I started it in the first place." You know what I mean? So whatever, like, extras you get or anything like that, you know what I mean? I can assure you a lot of that comes out of my pocket, contrary to how much money you think you're giving me. You know what I mean? It's not a lot, guys. You know what I mean? And so, you know, if your credit card gets billed or something like that and you don't want it to, it's not me doing that. I'm not doing that to you. You know what I mean? So they get so mad at me, you know what I mean? I'm like, dude, you know, this is voluntary. I'm not making you do this. You know, I'm not making you watch my videos. I'm not telling you should do this or you should do that. You approach it the same way. You're like, this is my experience. You always say, this is with my experience, or this is how I feel about this. Not necessarily this is gospel, but people, sometimes they just don't see that, or they see something like your car's not nice, or you got, you know, you're drinking too much coffee, or, you know, I don't like the, it just, whatever the case may be, it's just like, dude, why do you guys have to be so extra? I'm being vulnerable enough as it is by putting my business and my life out there for everyone to see. Yep. And then you got to give me a hard time about it. So I know that kind of, not only that, but I don't think people realize the amount of time it takes to set that camera up, clean all these windows, then come home and edit all that for you guys to see. It's just like, you know, you think I just shit this out, and I didn't. Yeah. Well,
I think the thing about YouTube, and that I would never say that I would stop it, is that I think the fun thing with it is to almost, I'll bring it back to like wrestling, like WWF. Like, you see so many people, like, I feel like we've watched WWF probably a lot as a kid. Yeah. But you've seen so many of these guys like recreate themselves through time, right? Mm-hmm. And I almost think of YouTube in that as like, you're not recreating anything. Yeah, we're window cleaners. Like, yeah, that's kind of the basis of what like some of the channels are about. But to like start something new like every year or do something like that keeps it fun and interesting, right?
Keeps it fun and interesting, and it keeps the content to where guys, you know, because I'm sure our audiences are the same way, you know what I mean? Like the same way with the podcast. We try to, every year when we come back from the winter break, we always try to like add something new or like give a little bit more, you know what I mean? And you want to make it fresh for guys because, you know, they're going to get bored. Maybe, you know, maybe like a large part of your audience is like, SteveO, you don't have to tell me how to do this anymore. I already know how. I just want to hang out with you for 10, 20 minutes, you know, a week, you know what I mean, or a month. So I think the year vlog thing is a great idea, man. I think that's a great idea. People still get to see SteveO. They'll get their tool reviews when need be, and you know, they'll still get their SteveO. You know what I mean? Like, I tried to get Luke to come back and make one video. I was like, "Will you make one video when I hit 1,000 subscribers?" He's, "Yeah, dude, He's like, "Bro, when you hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna be like, hey guys, Squeegee makes 1,000 subscribers, so I'm going to make a video." Never did that shit. I mean, I love him for doing that. You know, he's just looking out for me. You know, I love the dude for doing that. You know what I mean? But he's just against it.
Let me ask you a question. Okay. Because so this is something that I've always not done other than with one thing, which was the live show that I do with Josh. Mm-hmm. So, like, that is on, like, a schedule, right? Like, we don't keep consistent, but we try to keep consistent as possible. Mm-hmm. One thing that I've tried to never do with YouTube was create a schedule. Mm-hmm. And because I always felt like if I created a schedule, I would get burnt out. Mm-hmm. Now, it's really nice because I see that you guys do breaks, which probably keeps you from that burnout of being like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen other YouTubers in our industry, right? Like Luke, I'll be quite honest. He would say it to us, right? And that he created a schedule and boom, it becomes too much to keep that up. Even at one a week, it's a lot of work. He was putting lots of work. Videos, a lot more than I think comfortably that you and I would say that we do with ours. Like his thumbnails were just like
on point, beautiful.
Editing was the best editing.
Yes.
It just really was.
Yes.
I mean,
he was no question at the time he was the best doing it.
Yeah.
At the time, I think even if he was still doing, I think you over the last year or two, you're right there now. You know what I mean? You guys your editing skills are really good. You know what I mean? Like I'm envious of it at times. I'm like, man, dude, you guys are doing so good. You know what I mean? And then I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, well, there could be 3 guys doing the same exact thing, or could there be 2? You know, or there could be I could just do me. And I think that's where YouTube and the podcast doing it every week. You know, like I've always maintained I'm going to do it the way that I do it. Yeah. And if I stay true to myself, it's never going to get boring because it's something I'm passionate about. I love bullshitting. I love to talk. I enjoy our industry. The window cleaning has changed my life. It's changed my family's life. So it's near and dear to me. So I don't mind sitting around with guys that do it with me, like Seth and other guys from like you, and just shooting the shit. You know what I mean? That makes it worthwhile doing. I don't get burnt out on it. And when it's, like in the summertime, we hit like June. It's like at the end of June, it's like, man, July's coming. It's going to start to suck. Yeah. And then we're like, we take the summer break. We take a break in August. We don't do anything in August. And we don't, as soon as Christmas comes, we do one show right before Christmas and we don't come back until February. And it just, in all honesty, it probably individually, it probably helped. It's probably like a relief. You know what I mean? It's like I don't have to worry about that. That's one less thing I got to do around the holidays. But also as a group, I'm sure that we all get tired of each other. You know what I mean? Like, we're like, I'm fucking Mark. You know what I mean? Always busting my balls. You know what I mean? Like, and Mark's probably like, TJ's always talking about me being short. You know what I mean? So, having a month off, and like, we do conversate a little bit in that time. Like, if there's something going on or whatever in the industry, we'll talk about it, but not very much. Mostly it's just like, hey, man, I hope everybody's all right. Merry Christmas. Or like Mark will share a fart or a TikTok and vice versa. But it's we just kind of put a stop to it. You know what I mean? Like, boom. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you who's like absolutely instrumental. And not only me doing these one-on-one interviews, but the podcast still being a podcast and me still doing it is Chris. If it was not for Chris, I know I jerk Chris off a lot, but Chris has been very instrumental in my mental state as far as all of this goes, and really encouraged me to always be myself, because there was several times where I was like, man, maybe I should be more like these guys. And Chris is like, why, man? He goes, there's no need for it. He goes, you might not be as popular as some of these guys, but the dudes that do dig you are going to be fiercely loyal to you forever. You know what I mean? For you always being yourself. You know what I mean? But also, he's like, hey, man, maybe you guys should just take a break. Because I'm like, man, fuck this podcast. Fuck all these dudes. Blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Me and Mark, we're tired of these people. He's like, why don't you guys just take a break, man? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, just take some time off. A couple times a year.
Yep. I'm
like, what? He's like, yeah, fuck them. Just take some time off. And I'm like, you think that's a good idea? He goes, man, I think that's an excellent idea for you guys. He goes, I think it's perfect. And he was right. The show is fresh all the time because of that. You know what I mean? It's always fresh because of that. So.
Yeah. Well, you get re-excited, even when you have like we talked about, downtime with window cleaning, and you sit there for a couple weeks, all of a sudden you're like, man, I really want to clean some glass. Like, I was sick of it 3 weeks ago. Now I really want to clean. And that's what helps. And I'll be honest with you, even he's helped me and telling me, like, hey, you need to take some time off here. You need to take some time off here and just do it for yourself. And you really forget it, or you forget to kind of shut the phone off at a certain time of day, where I myself, too, have learned a lot from Alex and Chris. I mean, being able to, like, work with them, and I've learned a lot. I think, I mean, those two guys are just – and Josh, too. Like, it's being around three people who really kind of know what they're doing with a lot of different stuff, and it's you just learn a lot.
Right. Yeah. I don't really have a really good, or I wouldn't say really good, but like a really like a consistent form of a line of communication with Alex or Jersey.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're always cool with me. You motherfucker.
Just gotta get through it.
Yeah. Dude, I don't understand, man. Dude, the webcam, I'm just gonna pull the trigger on it. I'm done with that.
Okay.
But I'm going to buy the webcam. I'm not doing it's clearly this is gonna be an issue. I don't have that line of communication. I mean, Alex is, of course, anytime I reach out to him, he's always cool and speaks to me. And Jersey, he gets a hold of me when he wants something written. But I have a pretty good relationship with Chris. I feel like we speak daily. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he's been instrumental in my headspace for a few years now. You know what I mean? Like, he's really tried to help his level best to give me really good advice, and it's all been good. Like with you taking the time off, shutting the phone off, stepping away from it. That's something I never used to do. And then once I started talking to Chris more, I started implementing some of that stuff, and I'm just better for it. I used to like never take time off in the winter or in the summer. I'd just grind, and then just talking to Chris, and I know this, that constant grind, and you stop and you look and you're like, shit, man, where did all that time go? I didn't do nothing. It's cold out. You know what I mean? It sucks after a while. You get tired of it. It's just such a drain. You know what I mean? And you don't realize it's a drain until it's too late.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So taking that time, that scheduled time off, you know what I mean? Like this year, I took an entire, almost 13 or 15 days I took off in the middle of summer. In August, you know what I mean? Which, usually a little bit of a lull for me anyways. Yep. But I'm usually always out hustling, and I'm still out working until dusk, you know what I mean? Even in a lull. But this year I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take close to 2 weeks off, and I'm going to go out and do shit. And what we did is, we just filled the gas tank up on the car, and we drove one tank to wherever we were going. We went to the Mothman Museum. We went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We went all over the place. It was cool. And this year, we're like, screw it. This year, we're going to save up all the change, because we're going to need gas money. So any loose change we got, we've been putting it in a bucket. That's going to be our gas fund. And we're just going to drive west. You know what I mean? We're going to drive west, and then we're going to drive back. We're going to do the loop. We're going to do a loop, try to catch all the cool things we can catch. We're going to throw my mom in the back, strap her to the hood of the car. Because I want to take my mom because she's widow. She doesn't have, my stepdad passed away. She's all by herself. She's got my sister with her, but, she's not going to get to go and see none of this stuff. I'm like, I'm going to take Ma with us, and we're going to go out west and, see everything. You know what I mean? I think that'd be cool. You know what I mean? So it's good. Like you said, it's good to take that time off, man. Yeah. So just to close her out here, we'll spend a little bit of time on this. How did... we kind of know, but how did SteveO, the WCR rep, come about? How did you get to that point? Was this, because I know you didn't start out like, I'm going to be a rep for WCR. It just kind of, I'm sure it happened organically, but how did you, is it something that you're like, man, I wonder if I could do this, or were you asked, or?
So when, I would say that after Jordy started being a sales rep, for WCR and his time with them, and that him and I were very close during that time as far as talking all the time. And he would just tell me how it was and just the different things about it, and it sounded pretty good. I never, ever once thought I would ever do it.
Right.
Never even popped in my mind.
Right.
And then so he started mentioning it, and honestly, at that time, because I was doing so many tool reviews, I was getting so many questions of, hey, can you set me up with all the equipment needed to clean windows? Right. And so I was doing this every single day with people, right? And so finally, and I knew that a lot of them were going to the site and buying, and I just said to myself, I was like, well, was like, what if I became a sales rep, right? So I went to Chris, I asked, and it was approved at that time. I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't set any goal financially as far as what it was going to do. I just simply wanted to have the ability that if someone came to me and said, hey, I want to get this squeegee, that I could help them, basically purchase that. And then just in time, it grew. I would say that it was nice having all the social media already and being able to put that out there and get some customers who were already kind of waiting. Not a lot, but, just a few that were like wanted to buy through me. And so that started. And then I started to get more involved in just some of the daily stuff as far as what we'd call chat. So chat is like the little box that comes up on the corner of the website when you come on there. And so a lot of people use that. So I started doing that on the weekends. And then May of 2021, I took over a weekday spot on that of being like, I got a call that basically said, hey, this spot's open. If you want to take it, it's yours. And I literally at that point said, you got to give me a month so I can fit all these window cleaning jobs and like push them all into this time. So for a month, I just worked 7 days a week to push it to the time that I could get to that. And then started doing chat, started doing all that. And then once that started, that just grew exponentially. And then just learning the operations of what they do. It's a totally different business than I've ever been in, but it's been really, really good, man. It's and here's the best part about it is like, yeah, we talk to people, through YouTube, through comments and stuff, but actually talking to these people and getting to know them was cool. And that like the ideas these people have that they never share are like, oh, wow. Like there are some really nice businesses out there, some really nice operations where they're never going to share any of this. And I get why, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and then get to know like the personalities of people, because now, they're coming to you like, hey man, like this wasn't working for me. What could I do here? What could I do there? And you do kind of become, I wouldn't like to use the word coach, but just kind of like an ear for them to talk to.
A sounding board. You know what I mean? It's someplace to like a wall to bounce your ball off of. You know what I mean?
Yep, exactly. So that's what it turned into, but it's been great. It has given me the ability to really, cut back the window cleaning, and that's been really nice. But it is sales. It has its up and downs. It has its days where you don't make a penny. Right. It has its days where it's good. So, but there's definitely times where you got to take a break from that too. You got to just go back, turn the phone off, and
I'm sure that's just as demanding as going out and cleaning windows every day. It's got to be, you know what I mean? It's got to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just based on YouTube comments alone. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I know there's got to be a little bit more to that than what you're saying. You're being humble, and I that's what I like about you. You're always pretty like, I'll give you a little bit, but I'm not going to tell you what sometimes I want to rip my fucking hair out of my head. That's what's cool about you.
Yeah, it's been a great job, and like I kind of talked about when you're talking about like Chris and stuff, like working with all those guys, have just learned a lot. Like, yes, I knew the tools and stuff like that, but learning that whole other side of e-commerce and everything was just huge. And then going to the conventions now, working those, that's a whole different thing. I totally underestimated that, man. My first convention, I went and I stood the whole day like this, and I woke up the next morning, I couldn't even turn my neck. Like it was, you would never think that's tiring.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So tiring. Like this past year, I was sitting there chugging water. I was like, Austin, man, you better make sure that you're not going out. Like just drink water. Make sure like you're being good, because if you go out and drink the whole night, it's going to be a hard day.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, I went to one convention and you were there, and you were loving life, man.
Yes.
But you weren't. Like, you weren't obligated the next day to do anything. You know what I mean?
Not at all.
You were just Steven the whole time you were there.
Exactly. Like, man, I tell you, like I like to work, but I'm a big advocate of like work hard, play hard.
Yes, I'm the same.
I haven't played hard a lot in the last like 2 to 3 years because it's been a lot of work. But
right.
If anything, you got to really, really enjoy life, and I've always tried to do that as much as I can. Having a kid, like you just have a lot more responsibilities and everything. Right. But we had a lot of fun in Branson. Like
too much fun. We had so much fun. I'm glad that I swallowed my pride and listen to Chris and like, listen, man, I'm telling you, this guy is not doing right. I'm telling you, he's a bad guy. I feel like, and Chris is like, I feel like if you and I lived in the same town, you and I would probably be best friends. I'm like, whatever, dude. And then once I got to know him, I'm like, fuck, dude, this dude is awesome. I totally would have hung out with this guy. You know what I mean? Like him and his brother, we would like the same things. We find the same things funny. You know what I mean? The same things irritate us. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we would have been really good friends. Yep. And going there was probably one of the best decisions I ever made. You know what I mean? They're like, I've made friends that I'll have the rest of my life. You know what I mean? I enjoyed the drive there. It was a good time. So I would say that it was all, you know, the Branson trip was well worth it because, like I said, I got to meet you. I got to meet your wife, soon-to-be wife. I got to meet Luke and his wife and Chris and his wife. It was cool. It was cool. That was like to put a human being to the person that you interact with on social media, to see them as a person. You know what I mean? And to interact with them, and, you know, it was cool. Like, meeting Jordy, like, I never would have guessed Jordy was that sweet of a guy. He's a sweetheart. Yeah, sweet dude. Yeah. Totally miss him on YouTube. A sweetheart of a guy. Yeah. But I want to, you know, because I know we're about finished here, I want to ask you one more question before I go. And what do you think, in your opinion, I don't really know how to ask this, but, like, window cleaning, what is the biggest reward that you have gotten by becoming a window cleaner? What's the biggest, like, the one thing you're like, man, I'm so glad that I'm a window cleaner because of this happened to me, or I get to do this, or what is that one thing? It's like, man, I never expected this to happen, but man, I'm so glad that it did.
You know, one thing I never expected, I don't know if I could define it as a word, but I never ever thought that the window cleaning would be my career, as in that it's I never thought in that realm of it, just due to growing up. It was never something that was ever even
thought of
or talked about or anything. It just wasn't. So to do something that so many people disagreed with, that so many friends that I had when I first started who said, oh, I can do that, that's easy, you're not doing anything with your life, like you're going to be a bum. I had many people tell me this, and to do what we've all done to now just kind of makes me look back and just kind of smile. And that's about, you know, at them, because it just, like, it's kind of nice in that, like, you can tell your friends, like, hey, I'm a window cleaner. They don't want to know anything more about it usually. Like, oh, yeah, you're a window cleaner. People,
and I know you probably got this too, people looked at me like I was fucking crazy. Or like, dude, are you going to be a bum the rest of your life? What are you, standing on the corner with a spray bottle and Windex? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And now all these years later, they're like, you know, I run into somebody and like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm still cleaning windows. They're like, oh.
Yeah.
You're not homeless? You know what I mean? It's like, no, dude. Like, I've got children. I own my own home. You know, I mean, I have a little bit of financial freedom. I have the peace of mind getting up every day that I don't have to punch a clock and be beholden to some dude that don't give two shits about me and my family.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, in this industry, it's small enough to where even if you are working for a dude, 9 times out of 10, he gives a shit about you. You know what I mean? Because it's not... You know, there are some companies out there that do not give a shit about their employees. We don't need to name them. We already know who they are. You know what I mean? But for the most part, the large majority of dudes, it's a small enough industry that you're not going to find some guy that can go out all day in a truck and make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in a day proficiently and safely. You know, they trust you. You know what I mean? That's not something, you know what I mean? So...
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, man, window cleaning has gave me my family. Like, to be quite honest with you, I mean, it really, really has. It's the same way in that you said it gave me the ability to buy a home. It gave me the ability to have a son and feel good about being able to
take care of him and
take care of him. And that to me was like one of the number one things. I've been able to take care of anything for Alex that, you know, that she's wanted to do or you know, get. And I just never, ever fathomed that it would really come to this and be able to be my career. That's
cool, man. I really appreciate you sitting down and doing this with me. Technically, this would be the second one, but really, this is the first one because the first one was Casper, but I really didn't know it was going to be a thing until Chris was like, dude, you need to do that more often and just start hitting people up and just do like one a month or something with somebody. And I was like, cool, then, you know, you're going to have to do one. So I'm going to be doing one with Chris soon. But, yeah, I really appreciate you sitting down and taking the time to do this with me. I really appreciate, you know, all of the advice you've given me. Even though I have a hard time implementing it, you've tried to help me on several occasions. Like, dude, this is what you need to do. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to... And then I'm like, I do it for like a month, and I'm like, man, I don't understand what's happening. And you know what's wild is like the things that you've told me to do, I do them, and I see the improvement.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, all right, yeah. You know what I mean? Like a dumbass. You know what I mean? But I really appreciate that shit, man. And I'm glad that I had you on. And I guess, you know, maybe in a month or so, we'll probably have you on the podcast. Maybe. Yeah. I think maybe. Yeah. That'd be cool. Definitely. That'd be cool. Yeah. I want to congratulate you beforehand on the wedding. I think that's super dope. I'm super stoked for you. You know what I mean? So that's... The baby, I mean, that seems to be going pretty good for you too. You know what I mean? You seem to be a pretty content person, and that's cool. That's cool. And what's weird is you know, this is all like window cleaning. How crazy? You know what I mean? I didn't even know that was a thing when I was a kid. You know what I mean? I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And now look at us now. You know what I mean? How crazy is that? There are people that are going to watch every second of this and eat it.
We're in Squeegee t-shirts.
Yeah, SqueegeeLife. I mean, come on, dude. I never in a million. I have that same shirt. That's my favorite shirt. I love that shirt. I have the same shirt.
I wear the Elon one to the gym just to confuse people. What are you wearing? Don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about it.
Well, dude, again, thanks so much. And I mean, I would like you to tell people, because anyone that watches this, that way they know, how do they get a hold of you to order tools from SteveO?
Yeah, you can always text or call me at 970-599-1437, or you can always email me at steveo@windowcleaningresource.com, and that's STEVEO. A lot of people put STEVO. So that, or I'm also on windowcleaner.com chat on Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays during the day. You can find me through Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, a lot of different ways that...
yeah, everyone's going to know that. Thanks, hey, bro.
Thank you, man.
No problem, man. No problem. Like I said, anytime I sit down with you, except for when you're wearing a Denver Broncos t-shirt, I enjoy your time. You bastard. Let's ride.